Happy October 29th, everyone, and welcome to Midwest Horror Network's October 2020 special, where we discuss all of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes. Today we are talking about Treehouse of Horror 29, which I thought was just kind of middle in the road, despite a few laughs.
It was forgettable. It
I
wasn't terribly boring, but it was still one of the forgettable ones.
I actually disagree. I was entertained.
All right, so we're probably going to have some things to talk about then.
Good.
So I'll start
Mark was entertained!
So we'll start with the intro. So it starts off on this foggy town. It's basically a spoof of Arkham from the H.P. Lovecraft works. And Homer and his family are there for a green oyster eating contest. And we also get a couple gravestones as the camera goes into the town.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It was good to see him.
Yeah.
It was good. So the family is waiting for the oyster eating contest to begin. And one of the townspeople comes up and says, "Oh, the contest was all a ruse. We just wanted to get you here so that we can sacrifice Homer to an ancient god from beneath the ocean, Cthulhu." And so then Cthulhu rises from the ocean, and he's looking kind of fat. And he takes a lighthouse and smokes it like a cigar. And it turns out all the townspeople are actually monsters, kind of like slimy ocean monsters, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, very H.P. Lovecraft-like. And so Cthulhu's about to eat Homer, but Homer says, "Hey, wait a minute. I was promised an oyster eating contest. You are going to deliver that contest."
By the international rules of this flyer,
Yep.
I demand an oyster eating contest.
Of the ancient gods.
Of the ancient gods ruling of this flyer, I demand a contest.
Cthulhu accepts the challenge, and one of the townspeople is telling the family Cthulhu can never be satisfied. He'll always be hungry. But then Lisa says, "Well, my dad didn't have breakfast this morning." And Cthulhu just kind of goes, "Uh-oh." So then cut to the midst of the oyster eating contest, and Cthulhu's starting to slow down, and Homer is still just unfazed by the oysters, and Cthulhu gets up to go for a walk, and he collapses, throws up even. He loses the contest, and Homer's like, "Yay, I win. And I get to choose the prize." And Cthulhu says, "I'll give you anything you want. A whale watching experience where you actually see a whale, immortal life." But Homer whispers in Cthulhu's ear what he really wants. And I guess what he really wanted was to eat Cthulhu. So we see a dead Cthulhu in a giant pot just stewing, and Homer's eating him. And Homer walks up to the Cthulhu in the pot and says, "Oh, an ink sac." And he pokes it, and it explodes, and the ink explodes at the front of the screen, revealing the title, Treehouse of Horror 29.
There were actually two funny jokes in the intro that I really enjoyed, which was, this place is so New England, even the
seagulls have
having New England accents. Which
I liked that too.
And then also, Lisa was like, "Mom, how did you find this place? It's in the book of the top 10 places that you visit before you disappear." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny." I thought it was a pretty enjoyable. It was fun. It was a fun, fast intro.
Yeah, it was a very fun intro.
Nice.
Wasn't fast, but it was a good intro.
Yeah, it was a very good intro. It was actually my favorite part of the episode.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, David, let's talk about the first segment of this episode, Intrusion of the Pod-E-Switchers.
This is essentially a kind of body snatcher parody. We start off with Apple store?
Yeah, they're
underwater.
Mapple, which is their version of Apple.
Yeah, Mapple. And we got a Steve Mobs on a jumbo screen, revealing the new, obviously, iPhone.
Comes in two colors.
Yeah, well, obviously, this is a pre-recorded segment because he's already dead, and he
Yeah.
references that. So essentially, the only two colors available for the iPhone is black, and everyone is cheering. And then he says, "And
Sleek gray.
sleek gray," and that is it. Accurate. And he's like, well, I hope that you guys are enjoying my less entertaining replacement, which is
A less exciting version of me.
less exciting version of me, which is super fucking boring.
I'm wearing your clothes, Steve.
Wearing your pants. And he goes off screen. Everyone's stuck on their phones, and it's revealed that the replacement is a alien plant. I think, right?
Yeah.
Alien plant. And I guess who he reports to is like, be careful, but everyone's stuck on their fucking phones. And then we end up at the comic book guy's store. And then there's some kind of it was the spore, right? They launched some
they
kind of
launched the
spore
spores.
through space, and then they passed by the Futurama spaceship with the banner like "Bring back Futurama."
And then the Orville takes
And
it
then
out.
Orville takes it out.
Which, by the way, you shouldn't be that pissed off about it because it's a Seth MacFarlane show.
Yeah, but Futurama was amazing, and the Orville. I still haven't seen the Orville. I need to
I
give the
haven't.
Orville a chance.
I've heard from some people that the Orville is a better Star Trek show than the actual Star Trek show that's going on right now.
But here's the thing: Star Trek sucks, so that's
Yeah.
not a hard thing to do.
Agree.
You're a moron, and no, Star Trek
No,
Next Gen
I
is
am
amazing.
not a moron. Star Trek is terrible, and for people who can't like Star Wars because they suck.
This
Dude,
is
I
a
love-
long conversation. We're gonna move on.
He's such a fucking immature little bitch. You can like both.
No, you can't, Mark.
It's 2020. Get over it.
Star Wars.
You're
Anyway, let's
such a
go.
preteen little bitch sometimes.
And you're a blonde little bitch.
Fuck off. Anyway, go on.
Jesus Christ. Anyway,
David's like, I'm gonna turn this car around if
Yeah,
you don't fucking pay.
Well, he
So-
started it.
time out.
Fine, go
Time
ahead.
out. Anyway, we end up at comic book guy's store, and then we have the traditional or what's it like body snatcher type plant.
Yeah.
Oh, look, another Body Snatchers parody, which was also a parody of The Thing.
Nice.
And now I'm dying.
No, I'm dying. So he obviously pretty much sucks his life or soul, or I don't know what the hell the thing does, and then we get a plant-based or non-existing comic book guy. And then Bart and Milhouse come in to buy a comic, and then he says, "Yeah, come into my pod."
No, it's Milhouse wanted to return a comic.
Yeah, I wanted to return a comic.
But you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that, but you can hang out here in my pod or pad. And
No, like I'm saying in real life, you can't do that.
no, it's a fucking comic book. Yeah. But anyway, he's like, "Come into my pod or pad," and he's like, "Nobody says pad these days. Run," which I don't know. I didn't get it. But anyway, moving on. What else happened? This segment kind of fucking sucked, so I barely kind of remember what was going on here.
That was pretty breezy. That's why I didn't mind it. I know that they go back to the Simpsons house. Then they discover that Homer's been they do crack a joke about Homer, which I did like.
Because Bart and Milhouse realize that the whole town is starting to act like
Bart's
zombies.
screaming, "Dad, everybody's turning into zombies," and Homer just starts drooling. But I'm glad to see you're okay.
And then he runs in the house and he sees Marge as one of the plant-based aliens. So yeah, and you said Homer said some kind of comment.
No, that was it. That was the drooling thing.
The drooling thing. Yeah.
And they run out. They try to go tell the cops what's going on.
Chief Wiggum is getting sucked in, and I think Lou says, he kind of sucked
that
anyway.
good of a chief.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. I still have my feelings haven't been transformed yet. So yeah. What else? And then we, I guess, end up in this alien world eventually because the whole family gets sucked into it and realize they were trying to save them from something. I don't know what they were trying to
It's
save
to
them
save
from
themselves
iPhones, I
themselves.
guess, from
Yeah,
technology.
they're trying to save them from technology. There's a little bit of an overhanded message there, but you missed the whole part about them going with Lenny, I believe. Lou. And then going ahead and running over a bunch of people. And then Grand Scooper Willie has a shears up to
Superintendent Chalmers.
Chalmers, and tell me some random obscure fact about
Scotland.
Some kind of Scotland
I think
shit.
he's talking about one of the soccer teams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is accurate.
Name one of the team members. Is there a Rudy? There's always a Rudy.
No. There's always a Rudy.
You say Rooney or Rudy?
Rudy.
Accurate.
It's
same shit.
Yeah, it's the same shit.
Yeah.
And then they run over a few people.
Grand Theft Auto style.
Yeah, which is pretty great.
Smashing.
They all just
dirt.
evaporate into dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's his face? The school bus driver.
Otto
was like,
he's just a pot plant.
He's pretty much the same.
Yep. Stoned out.
Whoa, this isn't my.
I was the only that was like accurate.
This is in my living room.
And then we end up in this other side of the universe type planet where everyone's plants essentially.
Yep. And you see a little cameo from Spider Pig.
Oh really?
Yep.
I didn't see him.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, the twins are petting him.
Nice.
Oh, and then I know Ken and Kodos were in the background.
They were?
Were they?
I believe they were.
I was
yep.
going to say,
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
were.
realize it.
Yep. Yeah, the Ken and Kodos were in the background.
I remember when this episode, I'm like, oh wow, I'm surprised Kane and Kodos aren't doing this.
I didn't notice it.
So
though.
there's our King Kodos quota.
Yeah, there you
Move
go.
on.
Mark's the only one who caught him.
Yeah, you know what? I guess I wasn't as I didn't mind this segment as much as you guys did. To me, it was breezy. Had a couple really funny jokes, and it was over before me to be bothered by it. Actually,
This one, now that I think about it, this one was actually kind of boring.
I was going in and out, dude. That's why
Yeah.
I barely remember. Like this is like really one of those segments where I just can't remember what was going on. It was just like
it has its moments.
It does.
I'll say it has its moments. Which I'll say that about this episode. I'll say that about this episode as a whole. It has its moments, but nothing, except for the intro, none of the segments really came together.
Or stand out.
Yeah, it was like they had ideas, and it wasn't. None of them were bad. None of them were poorly done, but it was like something was just missing.
Yeah.
That would tie each one together.
Yeah, especially because I think like obviously the purpose of this segment was more of like get off your phones. They were trying to save them from technology, and like how it ended, it was like everyone eventually had phones with them, and then the tree alien guys were like, "Where the fuck did you get these from?" Oh, that guy was a Christmas tree, like I guess giving out iPhones or whatever.
And I'll also say
What'd I
this:
do?
in the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror comic books, in one of the first issues, I think it was maybe issue 2 that it happened in, there was actually a direct parody of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and they really do hit all of the beats and story structure of the original 1956 movie. There's even some reminiscent imagery, and they play it more serious. There are, of course, jokes in it and everything, but it was probably one of the best stories from the Treehouse of Horror comics that I've read. I've only read like the first maybe 9 issues or so, but that's one that has always stayed with me.
Nice.
And it gets really weird at the end too.
You know what? For some reason, with this segment and the rest of the segments, I don't have any negative feelings towards any of the segments. To me, this whole episode seemed very, very breezy, and I didn't feel as if my time is being wasted. I just thought that they got to the point, it was done, and then before I even had a chance to really dissect it, it was over. Even when we got towards the end, I was like, "Oh shit, it's over." So I think I don't know. I was entertained for the most part. I didn't expect a lot though.
The ending of this one also reminded me of the ending of the Black Hole episode.
Yeah. It's very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think this is a better segment than the Black Hole segment.
Really?
Or maybe I'm poor with it.
I don't know.
I don't remember a lot of jokes that I laughed at, with the exception of the one Millhouse joke with the dad. That was about it. I laughed at maybe two or three things here versus one thing there.
The only thing I liked about this segment was just the Spore going past the Futurama spaceship. Like that's.
I mean, there are a few other
Yeah.
chuckle moments, but nothing particularly memorable.
Yeah.
I like the iPhone thing. I like comic book guy and his little rant. I like the spaceship thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It was very kind of I was entertained, but all at the end of the day, pretty middle of the road. I know that's really weird for me to feel very neutral about something, but I feel really neutral about this segment and then the other segments. Kind of like I was entertained. It went by quick. Cool.
I just don't know how to feel about this segment. It's just like
Eh.
it's super squirrels for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Super forgettable for me. It did had its moment.
David, just say and move on.
Yeah.
Eh.
I think I want to describe this segment as like movies that I know that I was entertained by, but I don't remember a damn thing about the movie.
Just say
Like
everybody else.
no, I'm not going to conform. I will not bend the knee, sir.
Join us, Mark.
One of us. One of us.
No Google Gobble for me. Anyway, number 2.
All right. Zach, tell us about the second segment, Multiplisa-ty.
That's a
that
fucking
was
name.
Really difficult for me to say.
Yeah, I was
don't
trying to figure out the
apologize.
title when it came on screen. I'm like,
What now?
is this a bunch of letters just thrown together?
It's
or?
a play on Multiplicity,
Oh, Lisa.
but they put Lisa's name in the title.
Well,
Yeah,
at-
1,000 times.
At least it didn't do dial L for Lisa.
Oh,
thank
Let's
God.
give,
fucking.
let's
throw
give
a
them that.
All right, so this one is a parody of Split, I assume. Do
Yes.
not talk spoilers because I still need to see the goddamn movie.
It's good.
Yeah, I know.
It's-
So it starts off
Wait,
with
before you begin, Mark, David, have either of you seen Split?
No.
I have not seen
So once again, I am the only one here who's actually seen the movie this is making fun of. But go on, Zach.
Yeah. So it starts off with Fat Bully Haha Guy and
Nelson.
Millhouse. Yeah, sure, Fat Bully Haha Guy
Nelson.
and Fat Bully Haha
Nelson.
Guy and Millhouse punching Bart in the
it.
stomach.
I love how he remembers Millhouse, but didn't remember fucking Nelson.
What is his last name? Van Horten or something like that?
Van Houten?
Van Houten? Yeah.
You remember his you were close on his fucking last name. Just can't remember his first name. Fuck's the matter with you?
No, Millhouse is Millhouse Van Houten. Houten.
You are maddeningly
Houghton.
inconsistent when it comes to knowing things about Simpsons.
It's just because Zach has a crush on Millhouse.
That's no.
Secretly.
No,
probably.
he has a crush on Flanders.
Deadly.
Stupid, sexy Flanders.
So yeah, Fat Bully Haha Guy and Millhouse
Nelson.
Van Houten are punching Bart in the stomach to wake him up, and they wake up chained into this room. Lisa comes in, all fucking deranged and everything, and
Well, this
starts.
is before Lisa comes in. There's a flashback that's the last thing that they remember.
Oh yeah, they were drinking Sunny D.
Because they were at a sleepover, which Nelson wasn't even invited to. His mom just drops him off.
Which leads to everyone laughing.
Yeah, this is probably the funniest moment of the
Yeah.
episode for me is when I can't remember the story, but Nelson's mom
So
was
she
telling
was
him,
in the. So she got on some bus or something like that.
Oh yeah, she wasn't invited to some bus party.
Yeah, she got on a bus. Something happened to her, and then when she came out, her left tit came in, and that apparently changed her life. And then you just see Fat Bully Haha Guy
Nelson's
backing
just
up
backing
slowly,
away, not saying anything.
with
just trying to
a
get away from
terrified
his
look
mom.
on his face, like,
Yeah.
oh. So yeah, things happened. So yeah, they're being tortured by multi-personality Lisa for essentially the entire episode. She does a little musical bit for them, and she demands that they say it was great or applaud. And then she says, "I'm going to kill you because you didn't give me an encore."
Ask for an encore.
Yeah, and then
And then she slams the door. And
Millhouse just proceeds to comment, "What's the point of an encore? Just do your thing and everybody go home." What, like, encores are stupid, which I'm sure killed Mark a little inside.
No, that's actually fucking true and hilarious.
So Mark agrees with Millhouse.
Yeah.
Mark is the Millhouse of our group.
Yep.
Carry on, Zach.
Lisa makes a return after having a conversation with the parents, and yeah, she leaves a key for them, and it's just like, yeah, go ahead, escape, but you're all gonna die. So they all walk out. There's just this long hallway of just old baby books, torn up dolls. There's 3 of them on fire, just replicas and shit like that. They climb up a ladder, and then Lisa proceeds to start, murdering the 3 of them. She throws Milhouse into a fucking newspaper compactor machine or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, she kicks a fat bully haha
Nelson.
guy into a tub of magnets, which proceeds to attract a forklift, which impales him into the box of magnets. And then she traps Bart in this pit, and then, he persuades her to let her live.
All the while, newspaper Millhouse falls into the pit as well.
Yeah, Milhouse is just a cube of newspapers and stuff like that now, so that's his life. So yeah, Bart just pleads for his life. He's like, "Don't kill me, I'm your brother. I'll be the one to, tell your boyfriend that he's a dick when he dumps you, and then take him out to get a beer when he takes you back," and stuff like that, and all that stuff, and then Lisa falls for it. Marge picks them up, and Lisa thinks Milhouse is hot, because he's a newspaper guy.
Marge also asks what's going on here, and Lisa says, "And every woman just has that point where they just snap, don't you know?" And Marge says, "No. Where's Dad? Tied up in the trunk of a car."
How was I supposed to know our anniversary goes on the day we got married?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and Lisa was doing this because the 3 of them forged one of her papers to give her an F.
Yeah. Actually, Bart, what happened was Miss Hoover dropped Lisa's spelling test, and Bart wrote some stuff on it, and Miss Hoover is like, I'm sure somebody messed with this, but I don't care, and gives her an F anyway. All the while, Duff Man was spending the night with her.
And then he swallows his own tears.
She's like, "No matter
Duff
what,
Man.
There's nothing you could do to please me more than fucking with this test. Duff Man's pride has been hurt."
And he wipes his tear away with a beer koozie.
There's nothing quite like being a spokesperson than waking up to an empty bed. Nothing can make me feel better than doing what I'm doing right now. That's cold. That's fucking cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, this episode, it wasn't terrible, but it was just kind of, a flat line for me. Like I said, I already started to forget about it.
It's
just
kind
like
of
the rest of the episode.
Halfway there.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about all of these segments. All of them feel just kind of halfway there.
I will agree with that for the first 2. The third one, not so much. I would say that one's just a quarter of the way there.
This segment, I kind of hurt for Duff Man. That stings, even for me, as a dude. Jesus. That would sting if a woman's like, "Yeah, you don't please me enough." That's fucked up.
When I came into this, with Treehouses, I definitely wanted more comedy in all my stuff, and that's kind of how I've been measuring a lot of these episodes. And I would say this is about average, if not above, because there are several jokes that not only I laughed at, but several people laughed at. I was listening. I listened to everybody in the room. And the whole thing with his mom's tit falling out, and then also Nelson's
fatty bully haha guy.
Yeah,
Nelson.
Nelson. And then also she says, "I dose you with ketamine." He's like, "You put the C in the D," and I was like, "Oh, that was funny."
Ketamine is K.
I know. That's what it was funny.
You K'd my D.
Oh, you K'd. Oh yeah, that's right. That was a joke. You K'd my D.
Public school.
I thought he fucked it up. That's what I remember.
It's like,
Brandon, I know it starts with K. I just thought he was retarded.
No, you don't.
No.
Yes, I know.
With these 2 segments so far, they're kind of consistent. They have at least 2 jokes where we kind of laughed at.
I guess I laughed at more than.
For me, it's about 2.
It was about
consistent.
4. So, and then
I don't know. It wasn't that funny.
those are the ones that I laughed at.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I mark it, as average, middle of the road.
Episode 3.
Yeah, let's go into episode 3, or segment 3, we should say. Mark, tell us about Geriatric Park.
So this is obviously a parody of Jurassic Park. The Simpsons family decides that they're going to put Grandpa Simpson in a home, and while all this is going on, Mr. Burns decides that he's going to open up a new park where he's going to irresponsibly take DNA testing and give it over to seniors, so it makes them feel energized and young and all that great stuff. So they're going to visit, the whole Simpsons family is going to visit Grandpa, and they're flying over it. And as they're flying over, they fly over all the Jurassic Parks, which is great. They fly over the first one, the second one, the third one, and then they fly over Jurassic World 2. I swear it's gonna be safe this time. With a huge banner. And then they finally get to Geriatric Park, where
now Gold Bloom free,
which I also went at.
Jesus.
I think that was like the funniest bit in this episode.
I would agree. I think I'll get to what I think in a second.
continue.
So they go ahead and they land at the park. They go ahead and enter the same little segment they do in the first one, where everybody sits down in a little room. They open up the door, and they see all the seniors that they have a big pep in their step. They're all running around and being energized. And Mole Man digs a little hole, saying "young again," spells it out. They make a few other side jokes that were okay. The whole van rocking, and then it's literally them in rocking chairs, which I went eh. I made the same face reaction.
Yeah.
And then they go down to visit, and then they say, hey, I'm glad we've never seen you feel this great. And he says, that's great. And Homer, they say, Grandpa's like, it's a little cold in here. So Homer goes over to the thermostat, and there's a huge sign that says, don't touch this thermostat. He's like, I can't read. Takes it off. And
it was like, I'm not here to read, I'm on vacation.
But he also can't read. So he goes ahead and turns it up. It begins to rain.
Which, this is the second time Homer has caused trouble by adjusting a thermostat in a Treehouse of Horror episode.
When the hell was the other one?
The Nightmare on Elm Street spoof when they go to school and it's freezing outside, and Homer sees the thermostat for the school, and there's a sign that says, "Do not touch Willie." Good idea to adjust the thermostat, and that's what causes Willie to catch on fire.
So there's actually two things. He ignored a sign and fucked with a thermostat. So he obviously fucked with the thermostat. It begins to rain, or to get more moisture. It just
gets hot.
Yeah, more moisture, and then it begins to rain on all the seniors.
Sleep.
And then they realize that they're transforming into dinosaurs. And then they all transform into dinosaurs, different ones. And people get beheaded, and people get eaten. Which
I thought was a strange choice that there was no blood in here.
Yeah. Yep. I think this segment and the last segment was definitely missing some actual genuine
Which I do wonder what makes them decide when they're going to go bloody and when they don't. Like what makes them choose one or the other? Because we have seen they've never been shy about blood before, or there have been times where they haven't been shy, but then there are other times where blood is strangely absent. So I'm kind of curious.
Maybe they just wanted to slow down from the last episode with Homer eating himself. Maybe they just wanted to kind of...
I'm going to go and assume maybe it might be the, the FCC, the MPAA, whoever, I don't know who the fuck...
No. They wouldn't have. They wouldn't have been an issue because they wouldn't have done the last episode.
Yeah, because it's within like the same era of Simpsons as well. Because like we've had like the School is Hell one. That one had some pretty grisly stuff in it. We've had Homer eat himself, which wasn't violent. We had the intro a couple episodes back where Maggie just decapitates a whole bunch of people and all their blood and slime just oozes onto the screen.
Yeah.
So they have gone bloody before, but then it's like a year later they won't go bloody. So I'm just curious what makes them decide.
It's actually I have actually a pretty good idea, and it's probably way simpler than what we're thinking of.
Mark's got another theory.
Money. That's it. Money. They may not have the budget to actually do the extra frames of extra blood and things like that in some of these.
It's the Simpsons. They have the money.
It seems to be often the most simple explanation is the correct one. So.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, so we have a whole bunch of dinosaurs decapitating, chopping off parts, but we had Bart doing the same thing in the Kingsman spoof, 2 Treehouses ago?
Something like that.
They probably spent all their money on the animation of the dinosaurs. And then they're like, oh, we have no more time. Maybe money and time. They spent all their time doing
But
the
it's
dinosaurs.
they still work from the same storyboards. Whether you have dinosaurs and or blood in it would still be the same storyboard. So I feel like there's got to be some kind of creative reason why.
I think so because like we get that where there's like one episode where like almost like every segment's got the blood, and then there's the one episode where none of the segments have anything like that.
Yeah.
When it's called for.
You know what? We may never have an answer. I try to go to the most practical one, which is time and money. They spent all the time on the dinosaurs, and then just said, you know what, we have, and that may have been all the way back into the storyboard process. They may have said, all right, we're going to spend all this time on the dinosaurs, and well, we don't really have the time to get all the blood and the guts and the gore really into this, so we're just going to do the bare minimum of that because we spent all our time and budget on the dinosaurs.
For what it was for this segment.
Does that line up with how animation works, though?
I mean,
Realistically, no. I mean,
No.
yes, it is 2D animation. I mean, if it was 3D, there'd be a little bit more of an argument there, just because there's a little bit more work that needs to be done. But when you're just drawing, because I do assume this is still drawn to a degree.
well, guys, that's why Disney.
I feel like there's a time period when they decided they're not going to do hand-drawn anymore, but I don't know. I know color is all digital.
Yeah.
I feel like
I just don't know what the process for the
Yeah.
animation is in this one.
because
But
I do know they held out on hand-drawn for as long as they could. I just don't know if that's still going on. I don't think it is. I think that went away once they entered the HD era, but I just don't have that behind-the-scenes information.
I'm basing this on the theory of why all the Disney characters have 3 fingers versus having a total of 5. It's because it's fucking faster to draw 3 than it is to do 5. And they can do more frames and draw more things if they have 3 fingers rather than 5.
But even when this show was definitely hand-drawn, they've never shied away from the blood.
Well,
Yeah,
I get
that's
it. But budgets have to be concerned, times have to be concerned. That's just part of the deal. So,
But I feel like you're talking about animation when you don't really know much about the actual animation process. I don't either.
Totally.
And
based
You know what?
But
you're
it doesn't.
100% correct.
It doesn't sound. Your reason just doesn't sound correct based on what I do know about the process.
If we go back to that Satchel Bob episode where he finally kills Bart, where there's really lack of blood minus the one time where he bashed Bart's head and then that was one spot of blood. I mean, it's there. I don't think the budget has anything to do with it because they could do it if they wanted to.
That's fine.
there is something else. I don't know what it is.
There has to be some kind of creative reason.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it has something to do with between creative and ratings.
maybe.
Or censoring. Just those are the two things.
I don't know about censoring, just because that.
Well, you know how fickle those motherfuckers can be. They can. And don't forget, this is for television. This isn't movies. This is TV. So they are more strict with that.
But they've still gotten away with some pretty. Compared to dinosaurs lopping off limbs, they've done so much worse than that on these episodes.
And knowing the
Again,
Simpsons,
people are fickle.
And knowing the Simpsons, they would make fun of something like that.
Yeah, and by the way, too, you're 100% correct. I know nothing about animation and its process. I'm only basing this on 2 reasons. One, the Disney thing, and then also 2, the simplest explanation is often the rails one, but maybe not.
I feel like the simplest explanation for this would just be they didn't feel like it.
I think so.
That may be true too.
It's between that or somebody was just like, this is too violent. Think of the children, which is fucking retarded.
Well, you know what,
but,
though?
yeah.
I think Brandon maybe have a point there. Maybe it isn't money. Maybe it isn't creative. Maybe it isn't anything. Maybe it's just because I
People
don't
are
really.
fucking lazy.
Yeah, I don't really feel like it.
Well, it is The Simpsons, so that wouldn't surprise me.
But like I said, it's just curious to know like what makes them go. We feel like doing blood this year, but the next year, we're not going to do the blood.
Laziness.
Yeah.
Laziness.
I think we'll never have an answer to this.
Yeah, who knows?
Anyway,
Move on.
Mark, how did this segment end?
Oh God, we're still in this segment.
Yes. I guess they all hop into the Simpsons get away from all the carnage, and they go ahead and hop into one of those circular balls from Jurassic World that everyone just loves so much. I just want to hear the groans from over here. And then Lisa, being the bleeding heart that she is, gets out of the pod to go have a conversation with Grandpa, because she believes that inside that he's a good person / dinosaur that just misunderstood. So she goes up and says, "I understand you," and that works. And I guess his teeth fall out too, and she's like, "I still understand you and love you." Then they go through a whole thing about all the different, Marge says, "Oh, well, they just wanted to be understood," and then it shows all the seniors being taken care of. An orderly gets a little mouthy, so they gets knocked into the next block. Yep. And then of course Mr. Burns says, of course, the evil CEO gets away unscathed, and then a giant
old Jewish man, his dinosaur comes out and eats him, and
then literally coughs out money, and that's
too rich for him.
And then the episode ends.
They're flying away on the helicopter, but where's the pilot? And they're actually on Mrs. Skinner, who is a pterodactyl.
And then makes a joke about how this isn't Virgin Airlines, and I'm like, Jesus.
That was a bad joke.
That was terrible joke to end on. This was the weakest one for me.
I think it was the weakest one for more than just you.
Oh yeah.
And I think after the whole bit about them going over all the Jurassic Parks, that's what just fell off a cliff for me.
Yeah.
No,
it didn't fall off. It launched itself off that cliff at 1,000 miles an hour.
So I think you're giving it too much credit.
This wasn't a terrible idea.
No.
And like I said, we've seen some pretty grisly transformations in Simpsons before. Like, the one that comes to mind first for me is when they turn inside out at the end of the season 6 Treehouse of Horror. Yeah, and just the detail in that. Whereas the dinosaur transformations in this, it's like limbs fall off and dinosaur limbs just kind of grow, or they just transform with no real detail.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've seen them do body horror stuff before. They could have done that here. And I feel like on this episode as a whole, they never really committed to that mix of horror and comedy here. And it just kind of feels flat, this one.
Like I said, it became completely flat after the whole Jurassic Park bits, and then that was it.
Yeah, I did appreciate the concept and the idea. They just didn't execute it well enough.
And that happens.
It happens.
I think there's a lot of episodes that have segments that we've watched that had plenty of situations where they would start out really, really high and then they just drop off a cliff.
I mean, I did appreciate the actual type of dinosaur fitting their personalities when they did shift. Because Mole Man was one of really
he starts growing and then he just shrinks down to the little compy. This isn't fair, and he gets swashed.
Yeah, that was funny. That was the funniest segment, or the funniest part outside of the whole Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it was alright. It wasn't that funny.
I feel like in a better segment, it would have felt funnier.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure. There's not really much to say about this. I mean, it's a Jurassic Park parody. And that's the thing with parodies. Every time we do them, it's really easy. Like, unless they're really good,
which they rarely are.
There's been a few of them, but most of them, yes, Zach.
Parodies are at their best when they're not trying to be beat for beat. When they take the premise, but they run with it and make it into a Simpsons thing, rather than trying to force the Simpsons into the movie.
100% agree. 100% agree. And I think that this is one of those things, especially when we're talking about them, it just comes to the point of it's a Jurassic Park parody. That's it. Same thing with the Avatar, King Kong, Godzilla. It's a Godzilla parody. That's it.
Yeah.
Godzilla had other issues beyond. Trying to copy the movie.
I'm just trying to make a point about the parodies and how they're kind of just they're just when you describe them, it's in one sentence. Hey, they're parodying this, and that's what happens. Because in a lot of situations they are beat for beat, which is not good.
Yeah.
Which this one wasn't too beat for beat.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it was. I think it was going to be in the overall canon of things. I'm going to remember that little intro, but nothing else about this episode.
Yeah, for me, it's just like the whole process of why they turned to dinosaurs and the experiments. Like, I mean, like Brandon said, they could have made it to their really own. Obviously, they weren't doing beat to beat, from the movie, but that's where it kind of was flat for me. Is like the process of them turning into he's turning up the thermostat. Here he goes. Everyone's transforming into dinosaurs.
Yeah. And then there was the I don't mean to cut you off there, David.
No,
sorry.
very good.
And then there was that weird situation of Twilight where the segment was at its best when it was copying Twilight beat for beat.
And then when it became its own thing,
that's where that one got weak.
And funny enough, that's kind of the same thing here. It's making fun of, it's doing a pretty good job of being satire towards and making jokes towards Jurassic Park, but as soon as it turns into its own thing is pretty weak. Yeah. So it's always disappointing when you end on a kind of a flat note on them. When you have some segments that are pretty good for the most, at least for me, they're pretty good for the most part, and then you end on like a flat segment with a very flat joke, it kind of puts a general damper on everything that happened before it. Unless I think Brandon said the best, the best kind of episodes you can have are the ones that start out really good and then maybe a little low in that middle segment, but then they'll finish on a high note. And you want to have that bell-shaped curve with these episodes. Those are the ones that are usually the best quality, and those are the ones I'm going to remember the most, is the ones that have that strong finish and that strong ending. But fortunately, this did not have a strong ending.
No.
It had a very weak ending.
So with that, should we head into our wrap-up?
Please.
Yes.
All right. Funniest moment of this episode. I'm actually between two moments here.
What?
So one of them is Nelson with his mom, just backing away from her. And the other one is Duffman's single tear.
Oh, God.
I'm going to go with Fat Bully Haha Guy's moment where he backs away from his mother out of the car after hearing when she developed her third tit.
I'm going with the Bring Back Futurama.
That one's up there as well.
That was a good reaction.
That's like my number 3.
That's my one. That's because I love Futurama.
You put K in my D. Was pretty funny, and then also the whole thing with his mom was fucking hilarious, and it was, his reaction was perfect.
Yeah.
It was a great one. And then the other one that comes to mind is the comic book guy one, because I just enjoy comic book guy every time he comes up.
Scariest, creepiest, grossest, darkest, however many adjectives we're up to at this point, that category. I'm not really sure what to pick for this one, because it didn't really go for that.
Didn't do anything.
I'm gonna go with Hallway of Dolls just by default, as creepiest.
Which one?
The Hallway of Dolls when they escaped, and everything else, and they went up. And
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, you know what though? I will say though that some of the effects of the souls being sucked out of them in the first segment was pretty cool, and they had that kind of like creepy, horror like with all their life force being sucked out. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll go with like the detail on some of the pods, like comic book guy withering away. I guess I'll go with that because that's probably the closest it got to like a horror moment.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
I'm gonna have to go with the intro on this one, because like the whole setup was kind of very eerie and kind of creepy.
I do agree with you, but I try to stay away from the intros for these wrap ups.
I can't find anything. I do agree with you.
Yeah,
like creepy or
Fat Cthulhu.
Least favorite segment.
3.
Why?
Because it's boring.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
because
3.
Yeah. Just was flat all around.
Yeah.
It just didn't get started.
You had one good joke and that was it.
You know what? I think with me, I'm the most disappointed by segments that start out good and then they just drop off a cliff. Part of me bothers by that, because I was like, you couldn't fucking stick the landing on this. The whole thing, the whole bit with the Jurassic Park thing was funny, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be kind of cool. And then the second it gets into the actual story, I'm like, this is fucking boring.
Yeah, 3 is also my pick for least favorite, for all the reasons that we discussed earlier. So with that, what about our favorite segment for this episode?
2 was violent, had a few funny moments, and it's the only one that I even slightly remember.
I've
already forgot part 1 again, and we just talked about it.
I'm gonna go with 2. 2 just the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with 2 mainly because like the first one, I just couldn't keep track. I was like in and out. It's like what's going on. I didn't remember half of the freaking story. Third was just flat. It just didn't get started for me.
I feel like my brain is just running out of storage space for these episodes. Like unless there's something somewhat impactful, it just already goes to the recycling bin and then just gets deleted immediately.
I mean, the third segment was trying to get started with like going past like all the older Jurassic Parks that were there, but then it's just downhill.
Yeah. So definitely 2.
Yeah, 2 is also my favorite.
Yeah.
It was both the most complete story, I thought, and I liked the interplay between the 3 characters of Bart, Milhouse, and Nelson. So with that, thank you all for listening to today's discussion about the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 29. Be sure to listen to our regular podcast, The Nightmares Podcast, wherever podcasts are available. You can also look us up on social media at Midwest Horror Network on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and
Slasher.
And of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, we would really appreciate it if you would stab that like button, smash that subscribe, click that little dingy bell to be notified every time we drop amazing content right here on the Midwest Horror Network channel. And of course, if you are listening to this on Spotify, please press that little follow button or any follow button that's on any of the podcast streaming services. Thank you so much for checking this out. We will see you tomorrow.
Happy October 29th, everyone.